Good, everybody. Welcome back to No Chill with Gilbert Arenas. As you can see, we're back out here at Slick Studios, and today we got a very special guest. 14-year NBA vet, played with 9 different teams, was a member of the 2007 We Believe Warriors, came back 10 years later to finish up his career in 2017 and win a ring in the Bay. Now you can catch him hosting my favorite podcast, other than No Chill with Gilbert Arenas, All the Smoke on Showtime with Steven Jackson. The man that some of us know as Elder Barnes. You got Matt Barnes in the building. That's probably my favorite Matt Barnes nickname is Elder Barnes. And I feel like that we said that in the You Said It locker room way back in the day, and then it got to Twitter in like 2010, and then everybody just rolling with it.
That's funny.
So you had 2 names in 2010? Oh no, the other one's just a phrase. Matt gonna kill you.
Oh yeah, that was the
Orlando shirt shit.
Yeah.
Matt gonna kill you.
So first and foremost, just want to ask you, obviously you're heavy in the cannabis space. Grown men don't share blunts, especially during a pandemic. Mm-hmm. But if you could share a blunt with anybody in history, who would it be?
In the history, it probably have to be Tupac.
Okay.
Fortunate to come to LA in '98 and kind of meet all your favorite people. And sometimes they're not really who you think you are, but I never got a chance to meet Pac. And, Pac is an inspiration for me on so many different levels. So that would be the one person. If I had to pass a blunt in 2021, I would definitely be able to pass that to him.
And if he was holding it too long, would you say anything to him?
No, I need it back, bro.
Just let it.
Or maybe probably just light another one.
Okay.
And you know what I mean? We both be smoking our solos.
And if you could ask Pac one question you could think of, what would you ask him?
Man, one question.
I see you got him on the hand too, so.
Right, yeah, I got him in my hand. One question. I probably would have just warned him. I wouldn't have asked him a question. I would have warned him to lay low and chill out and be great in your lane and stay out of the politics. You know what I mean? Because I think we all miss him and coming to LA. You guys both being from here, you know, it's a lot of politics that go on with shit. So I would have just kind of given them a view of the future, told them to lay low.
You know the funny thing about Pac, and especially rap now, right? People don't realize he was the most balanced rapper. He was the most balanced rapper because he played in multiple lanes. Mm-hmm. So when you ask a rapper, well, I'm the next Pac, and I'm like, which Pac are you talking about?
Right.
Like the gang, you got the gang banging Pac, okay. Then you got the iconic Pop, and then you got the ladies Pac. There's which one are you trying to be? Because there's 3-4 different type of Pac. So when you said I'm the next Pac, you just talking about the gang banging Pac.
I think that's disrespectful for anyone to say that. Because like you said, his versatility was unmatched. He had a song for every emotion. You know what I mean? Whether it be good or bad, you know. So to me, that's a great point. Very balanced, very versatile. So for any of these newer people to say that they're the new version of this or that, like, it is what it is.
It doesn't say they just don't realize how you just listen to the
one side of them.
The hit 'em up Pac. That's the one you're not. Right. Brenda don't have a baby Pac. You don't pay attention to that. Yeah. It's the hit 'em up Pac.
Dear Mama Pac. White Man's World Pac. There's so many different levels.
I get around Pac like this. Right. You have so many avenues of Pac. So if you're trying to be the next him, you got to understand. You got to tap into all of it.
Just versatility.
That's real. So we're in the middle of NFL season. A lot of people realize that football was your first love.
Yeah.
May arguably be your best sport if we're keeping it 100. But do you think if you would have kept pursuing football, obviously I know you set the record as a senior in high school and kind of all that stuff and playing through turf toe and all that goodness. But do you think if you would have stayed on that trajectory, you could have been in the NFL? And if so, who would you compare yourself to as a receiver?
Yeah, you never, because obviously you want to respect the craft of each, and to make it to professional on any level is, it's like lightning, getting struck by lightning. But I feel like I was definitely on the path with my height at 6'8". I was running a 4.39 in high school. I could jump 37, 38 inches, and I really played football. Like, football is my first sport. Like, we used to play tackle football on the street. My dad was cut by the Niners, one of the last cuts for Bill Walsh in the early 80s. But then he went to selling drugs, so they were playing tackle football, at the park every Saturday. So football was my life. I didn't really pick up basketball until, 11, 12, kind of later in elementary school. So again, not to say that we can just hop and do whatever, but I felt like I definitely was on path to be able to play in the NFL. Now, longevity-wise, being 6'8", and the weight I was, I don't know how long my career would have lasted, but I definitely really feel like I could have made a bigger, more impactful splash in the NBA because there wasn't really too many people that could, if anybody, that can, like I said, with speed, height, the ability to really catch and jump, that could have stayed with me.
I what's so funny is football was my first sport.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my best friend, Mike from USC, we grew up together in Florida. So I moved here and then played for East Valley Trojans. Got my helmet knocked off.
And that was it.
Yeah, and I woke up.
How old?
I was a basketball player.
How old were you?
I was 11.
Yeah.
Yep, East Valley
See, I never
Trojans tried to
played,
do
yeah.
a quarterback sneak, and they
That was
told
it.
me, do not quarterback sneak on the Eagles because they got a guy who just
a
knocks.
hitter.
Yeah, they got.
You didn't believe
I
him?
didn't lie. Faked it. Boom.
Cleaned you up. See, I
Woke
didn't-
up, had a Running Rebels jersey on.
Yeah, I didn't play tackle till high school. You know, I was just naturally aggressive and bigger, so my parents never wanted me to play tackle. So it was always flag up until high school. And then once I got there, like, you want to play tackle, play tackle. And I was like, yeah. So I mean, it was really easily my best sport. Just naturally gifted at it, and really, you know, to be able to transition into the NBA, I kind of just looked at myself as a football player playing basketball. That's why, you know, I played with the kind of tenacity and intensity I play with. You know, I love the contact, I love defense, and then, you know, getting out there flying down the lane and having a point guard pass me the ball is just like, you know, running a go route or a slant in football. So I really just kind of transitioned my football skill to the basketball court and kind of kept that same energy.
I think that helped me with contact too.
Yeah.
You know, just to think about it, just wanting to be hit,
Yeah.
learning how to get
That
hit,
or
learning
you-
how to absorb
That
energy.
or you kicking your leg out at people's nuts when you're going to the basket. That kind of contact. This motherfucker will come to the basket with his knees and legs flying and always get an and one. Like, what the kick me?
So when you look at your, obviously, physicality, UCLA, we were teammates there, but, you know, how did football help you in terms of getting where you wanted to get to on the basketball court?
I just think the mindset. You know, I was someone who did everything well, nothing great in basketball. So I knew that I was going to have to find a niche in the game. And once early on, I just figured, okay, I can play defense, you know, so let me kind of figure out what this defensive niche is, why I'm able to develop my shot, you know, because I went to UCLA and you know, we had the #1 recruiting class with McDonald's All-Americans on the wing, so they put me down at like the 4 position. So I was, you know, a guard in high school, and I went down to try to play the 4 position. So I really kind of got my guard skills dropped off, and I had to just adapt to whatever UCLA needed to get on the court. So, you know, transitioning into the NBA, let me find what my niche is and where I can be most effective at right away. And then through playing defense, I was allowed to develop kind of the rest of my, you know, my ability to shoot and show my ability to make plays and do everything else out there.
A few weeks ago, I was shipped some LMNT watermelon electric light drink mix and fell in love. No sugar, all salt. I was like, this is new. And you know what? It works. So I decided to work with the LMNT team to try and figure out how we can help every person in our VIP affiliate communities try LMNT. In spirit of the winter holidays, we thought it would be the perfect time to launch our saltiest offer ever to VIP affiliate partner communities. For a limited time, your community will be able to claim a free LMNT sample pack. They only cover the cost of shipping, $5 for US customers. We're expecting this campaign to bring record-setting new customer signups and conversion rates. We can't wait to spread the salt with your community. Here's how it works. Your community members can purchase an LMNT sample pack for the cost of shipping. That's $5 for US orders. This offer is only through VIP LMNT partners. Each sample pack includes 8 packs of LMNT, 1 of each flavor. The offer is limited to 1 time per customer. Go to drinklmnt.com today to learn more and tell them Agent Zero sent you.
So I remember you said, like, your senior year, you probably had the best 3-day window for a college hooper I think I probably ever saw. We played SC in the Forum. We'll say you dropped 34 on their head, but just threes, just doing everything. Then we get #1 Kansas coming in, Drew Gooden, that squad, put up a 27-piece, got the dub. I mean, was it at that moment kind of when you realized, like, yo, I can really take this to the next level and be a solid player in the league?
I thought I definitely had a chance. You know, you can't tell anyone in college that they're not going to the league, and you know how many of us actually go. You know what I mean? So obviously, I already had kind of the thought that I want to, this is what I want to do, but until you actually get that opportunity, you know what I mean? Because I was someone who was, you know, drafted in the second round. And when I was drafted to Memphis, traded draft day for Wesley Persons and went to Cleveland, where it was John Lucas, and he didn't give me a chance. Like, I was cut super early, you know what I mean? So you went from, okay, damn, I'm drafted, dope, let's see what happens, to not even getting a chance, but then having to go to the D League when I think it's second year in infancy. So shit was terrible, you know what I mean? So that really is what kind of got my foot, you know, like, okay, I know I can play on this next level, I just got to be able to show it. So that's when that grind really started.
So, you know, you talk about that coming out of college. I remember you had the Tahoe in college on like 21s, 22s, baller. Right before the draft, though, you came through in the
pay cut, yeah, with the Escalade. Yeah.
Escalade on like 26s.
Yeah. All right, but once reality set in and I was in that motherfucking D or G League, whatever it was called, like, I was living better at UCLA. There's no question.
I said the same thing when I got drafted. I took a pay cut coming here.
Yeah, for real, man. I mean, you know, through the grace of God, you know, I kept landing with some new trucks and a nice little apartment at UCLA. You know, when I'm about to get drafted, I signed with Orange, so, you know, they front me the $50,000-$60,000 to get the Escalade, and that's when you get the TVs and the big
Yeah, no, it was
sweet on the top.
Right, so
but it was like motivation for all of us.
Right.
Like, oh, she got the black Escalades on 26s. Like,
but then the real shit is the humbling factors. Like, yo, I can't afford this now. I'm not in the league. You know what I mean? So having to flip that, sell that, and then go on this grind in Fayetteville, North Carolina, of all places. You know what I mean? So that's really another reason. Obviously, my football mentality, but just kind of understanding the grind that I had to get to the NBA. That's why I played every single game like it was my last, because I had been through the motherfucking bottom of the toilet with that. And I was just like, this is not the life I want to live. So, you know, I had to really step that grind and that mentality that's either going to be me or you. And whether that's basketball, fighting, whatever the situation is, I'm going to do pretty good in that. So let's see what we can do.
Yeah, see, people don't understand, like, to really, to really make it in anything, you know, it's two avenues. Love, right? You just love it to death where you're going to just do it. Or pain, that you never want to feel the way you felt in that moment ever again, which puts you on the path of being great. So when you hear stories, it's usually the pain. You know, this happened, my mom was struggling, and I had to boom, 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 right? Or a Tiger Woods story where they are well off, right? Or the Grant Hill story, they are well off, but those kids love it so much that they become who they are. You know, like Steph Curry, you know, they're privileged. You know, but they love the game so much, that's what got them. So you only got two paths. You know what I mean?
It's interesting because it was weird. I loved basketball, but not like the type of love, like I'll do anything for it. It was weird because, you know, when we were growing up, and same with you, Joe, like we weren't training, like we were moving, or I was just moving on to the next sport. We played a lot of pickup basketball, but as far as the individual skill, we were never doing that, ever. You know what I mean? If you had it, you had it. That wasn't necessarily my strength, so I didn't, and when I tell people this, like I didn't start working out for the NBA until I made the NBA. And now, like fast forward, you know, so many years removed, and we have children now, like our kids have those, you know, we train our kids, we have trainers for our kids, and it's just like, yo, we never did none of this shit because I was someone in high school that did football, baseball, basketball, and track. So I was from one season to another, never even took a recruiting trip. I just know I came to LA on a recruiting trip. I saw palm trees, the beach, women. Like, I'm gonna go to school here. It just makes sense. You know what I mean? But I never went to Arizona until we actually played them. I thought, like, damn, if I would have came here, I took a visit here, I probably would have went to Arizona. But I was just always in another season. You know what I mean? So I never really trained for my sports. And again, not that I didn't love basketball, because I did love basketball, but basketball was never my life at all. You know what I mean? Like I love the fact that I got paid good money to play a game, but it was never really my life. So that's why when you see shit with me in the media or off the court, because like I said, I never looked at myself as like a basketball player. Like every shit that happened to me, like I approached it like I'm a man first. Like the NBA, so if you're gonna do some ill shit might come back to you type situation. So again, I had a love for the sport, but it was never like my life.
This episode of the No Chill podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Life can be crazy, trust me, I know. Which is why BetterHelp was created. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. The service is available for clients worldwide. You can log in to your account anytime and send a message to your therapist. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room. As with traditional therapy, BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change therapists if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit betterhelp.com/no chill. That's better, HELP, and join over 2 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional therapists in all 50 states. Special offer for No Chill listeners. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/no chill.
Let's go back 2003. You're in the ABA. And the ABA is kind of, it's not the ABA like we think about in the 70s. This is like the janky kind of.
This is Juarez,
like,
Mexico.
Yeah, ABA. But you're playing on the squad. You guys win the championship, but you're playing on the squad with Dennis Rodman. So what is that experience like, getting a worm that's kind of obviously on the tail end of his career, but still probably active in the streets? And
it was cool, man. And what happened was, unfortunately, I never really got to kick it with Dennis because he was only on our team for maybe 2 weeks before I got called up and I was out. Because I did my thing in the G League, but I got stuck behind Jason Capel. His dad was our coach. I got injured. I went to the bench, never really got to get my rhythm again. So I did good in the G League, but I guess it wasn't enough. So I had to go to the ABA the beginning of the following year, and was just killing in that. And then I got called up literally right before I got called up to the Clippers. We got Rodman, and it was just dope because obviously, you know, us all growing up being Michael Jordan fans and Magic Johnson fans, to get Dennis Rodman after, you know, the champion and all his antics, that shit is right up my alley, you know. So he started, you know, he comes to ABA practice with, you know, 6 or 7 people, flip-flops, glasses, his bulldog with him. I don't know what the is in his cup. I didn't even care, but it's just like, yo, Dennis Rodman is here. But so it was cool to, like I said, I only really got a chance to meet him and cross paths a little bit. We never got a chance to kick it, but just the chance to kind of be in his presence and kind of understanding his greatness and everything he was about. It was cool to kind of catch him on his tail end, I guess.
So did he give you any advice, tips, wisdom, anything you look at?
Man, like I said, I wish we would have got a chance to kick it. You know what I mean? Because I was on my grind at that time, but I was always with the shit. You know what I mean? So I would have loved to sit down and smoke with them or go out with them one night and see what kind of trouble we could have got into, but it just never ended up leading to that.
For sure. Well, let's fast forward. Your last year in the league, 2017, you're on the Kings, kind of, you know, end up, I think, getting released after the Boogie trade. Warriors come calling. They got, obviously, KD, Steph, that squad. How excited are you when you find out you're going literally from the Kings to the team that's going to win a ring?
So what happened was, you know, I had just got traded from the Clippers to Memphis. The Memphis shit didn't really work out. Their GM was full of shit. So I ended up leaving and signing a 3-year deal with Sacramento. And this is right when, you know, I'm figuring like, fuck, let me just go home and end my career with Sacramento. You know, they got a new arena. Let's, you know, maybe sneak into that 8 seed, bring some energy back to the city and kind of play on that. So when I go to Sacramento, I enjoy it. Like I said, I'm going home. I'm going to finish my career, you know, where I played high school basketball at. I'm looking forward to this. And the whole season, somehow I got named like the Boogie Whisperer. So anyone had anything to say to Boogie, they would come to me because me and Boogie had like a mutual respect. Like he listened to me, you know, although I wasn't on the caliber of his player, I just my reputation, you know, preceded me and kind of spoke for me. So he always would listen to what I had to say because, you know, he knows I wouldn't lead him wrong. So just that whole season, you know, they're whispering to me, everyone from the owners to the GMs to the coaches, you know, we're good here. You know, how is he? You know, tell him he's not getting traded, this, and that. And it's just like they're coming to me and saying all this shit. So when he actually gets traded at the All-Star game while he's on the podium, I'm like, damn, these motherfuckers spent half the whole beginning of the season telling me to tell him that he's not going anywhere, and then you motherfuckers trade him while he's doing an interview at the All-Star game. I'm like, damn. So when that happens, you know, me and Blotty talking, like we were, I want to say like a game and a half out of 8th or 2 games out of 8th. So like my goal going into it was just make the playoffs. The Warriors are the team at the time. Try to steal 1 game in the playoffs, but just bring that kind of excitement back to Sacramento and just kind of, you know, like I said, trying to build on that. So they just decided that, you know, they said the Buddy Hield was supposed to be the next Steph Curry. They felt like Boogie's time up there was up and he was gone. So when I talked to Blotty, I'm like, Blotty, I'm 36. I'm too old to rebuild, you know. So we discussed the situation to where, you know, I would be able to leave. They still had to pay me, and then I was free to join someone else. Rewind to the beginning of that summer, KD and I were talking because, I mean, he's just like, you know, we got to know each other pretty well through battling through the playoffs. He's like, I want you to come, we should come play with me, come with me. So I'm just like, all right. He's like, I was like, what are you gonna do? He's like, the Golden State thing. I was just like, really? He's like, I'm not sure. He's just like, but that's where I'm kind of leaning to. I'm like, well, shit, I'm definitely down. So when you get your shit done, let me know and I'll slide in there. Once he got his shit done, there was obviously not a penny left. So, I obviously took more money with Sacramento, but then, once I left Sacramento, maybe like 4 or 5 days later, KD gets hurt in DC where he hyperextends his knee. And I get a phone call from Steve Kerr like, hey, KD went down, we wanted to get you this past summer. Things didn't work out, but we would love to have you come out here now. He's like, are you willing? I'm like, yeah. So me and the twins are at KFC. It's like 7 o'clock at night. We had just finished working out. I was working out with them. We're eating our little chicken, a little hot wings, and I was just like, he's like, yeah, can you be packed and ready to come to Chicago tomorrow? I'm like, yeah. So I flew to Chicago the next day, and then the next game, I'm there. I'm a Warrior, and I go out there and play like 25 minutes of my first game, and I'm like, shit, that was kind of like a crazy 5-day whirlwind that ended up working out for the best. But, the fucked up part about that situation, and then the way my words have been twisted about me winning a championship and not wanting to accept the ring was, I go in there, obviously it's going to be a group effort to try to replace someone like KD. I'm getting a lot of, I'm playing, 20, 24 minutes a game, playing well, doing my part. The very first game, KD comes back like a week before the playoffs. I severely sprained my ankle, like almost broke my ankle. Like I don't ever swell from anything. This shit was a balloon. I'm like, so we're a week out from the playoffs. KD's back. We're supposed to hit our stride and go win this championship. So my ankle has me hampered feeling, and I didn't even feel good once I was, ready to kind of go out there, but basically to the Western Conference Finals. And, by that time, me being a vet and understanding the situation, they were already rolling. The chemistry, you got your rotations by that point. So to me, I was just, trying to be that vet, talking to people here and there, practicing when I needed to practice for the guys and just staying ready. But when they won the championship, like obviously I felt like my body of work over my career, I felt like I earned that ring because I put in a lot of hours, took a lot less money, which was stupid to try to win a ring. But I just felt like I wasn't out there guarding Kawhi. I wasn't out there guarding Dame and CJ. I wasn't out there guarding LeBron in the finals. So to me, like nothing had ever been handed to me. Like I had to get and grind to go take everything for me. So I kind of felt like with me having a free ride through the playoffs, I wasn't really out there with my team in that grind. So that's why I felt like I didn't really earn it in the moment, And so what happens is I end up getting the ring a little bit later because I wasn't obviously there the next season for the ceremony, and they do this ceremony for me and then I end up getting the Twins rings. And I stay for the game, but they give me this big ass box, so I give a box to Raymond Ritter. Shout out Ray. He I don't even know he's been there forever, so he's way up in the ranks now. But I give the box to Ray, and he locks it in this room. And then when me and the Twins are ready to leave, the room is locked. So I'm just like, all right, well, we'll just figure out how I'll get that ring. And we just never, we just never really timed it up to get the ring. So everyone's saying, well, he left his ring in Oakland. He didn't want it. That's this. I was just like, no, that's not really what happened. It just, we never crossed paths again.
You're not holding the big box on the seat for the game.
What's in your box? Like, I just didn't feel like doing that. Some shit, maybe 2 years later, they surprised me on the jump. Again, Ray, shout out Ray and Coach Kerr. Had it driven down to LA and gave it to me. So I think there was a kind of a misconception that he didn't want his ring, he this and that. Like I just felt like in the moment I didn't earn it. But it wasn't that I didn't want it, shit was locked in the ring.
What was that feeling like putting that ring on for the first time?
It was cool. To be honest with you, the only time I put the ring on was that time. Actually, I don't even think I put it on the jump that day. I think I went home after and put it on. And I mean, it was cool. Like, I'm not a jewelry person. Like I said, it just kind of, I looked at it and it's just like, yo, you had a fun 14-year run.
What? No, that wasn't the flip one, huh?
The what?
You're topped in the flip, huh?
No, it was Jason of Beverly Hills. It was nice. It was clean. And again, I think the best part about that whole ride was that the Twins got to experience with me. So they were traveling on the plane, in the locker room, in the Western Conference Finals after practices at 9 years old, having shootouts with KD and Steph. I was just like, to me, that experience was so dope. And when we won the championship, these little motherfuckers were on the front of the stage trying to grab trophies from Coach and KD and Steph and thinking they won a championship too. So I was like, you couldn't tell those little motherfuckers they didn't win nothing, so that's why I decided to buy them rings as well. But again, I think the best part of it, obviously the opportunity was dope, playing with that team was dope, but the chance that the opportunity that my kids got within that experience was amazing to me.
How was the experience just from as a hooper? Like, you know, you've been on teams, you 13 years you played, and you know, going into the season, getting ready for playoffs. Like, what made you guys different?
At the time, it was, you know, just everyone kind of kept their egos at the door. You know what I mean? The goal was to win. You know, that team had so much firepower, so many stars from our coaches to our players that, you know, at least while I was there, it was basketball was what was most important. Winning was most important. So, you know, there were games where, you know, guys wouldn't do kill, but at the end of the day, you won by 30, and, you know, so it was someone else's turn. So, you know, when I was there, it was just, you know, the chemistry was second to none. It was a dope environment. Like, you know, I mean, you know, it's sometimes you don't even want to see the facility, but the energy was different there. Yeah. Like, it just kind of felt like every day it was cool to be in there, from the strength coaches to the trainers to the coaching staff to the players. It was just a fun working environment. And the second time around, being able to go back there, the first time I went there, you know, we were with the old ownership, and it was just kind of like a regular team. When you went back, you could really feel the presence of that ownership and how all you had to do was worry about basketball. But I think the thing that surprised me the most was the work ethic from the stars. Like, these guys are literally shooting before and after practice, and everyone would have their court. Like, Steph and KD would be over with Steve Nash on the first court, doing all this weird spinning, footwork shit, flip shit, balance shit. I'm just like, all these crazy shots you see them making the games, like, they really work on those. And then Clay's on the other end of that shit, where Clay will shoot 100 shots and probably miss 3 of them. And then you got Iggy, you got Draymond, you got David, and then you got some of the younger guys. So you literally, it was dope because I was just someone that always just got shots after practice, but in that team, everyone worked after practice. So I would have to sit for maybe like the first 30 or 45 minutes and just watch these guys. And it was just like, it was a beautiful thing to see everyone out there getting that extra work after practice and really, you know, perfecting their craft. Because I've been on teams like, once coach says it's done, it's ghost town, motherfuckers is gone. You know, some motherfuckers get out there before the water even hits them in the shower, smelling like a bag of nuts. But with this team, like I said, people were lingered around, hung around, because it was just a good environment to be in.
So you said, you know, you had that whirlwind Kings Wave. You were there in a couple of days. How long did it take you to really feel like you were part of that? So you get thrust in the fire.
It was good.
Obviously.
You know, it was quick.
First game,
yeah,
right?
as I said, it was quick. You know, Coach Kurt threw me right in the fire, and I've always been someone that knows my role on teams. I know why they brought me there, so it wasn't really much. I kind of just had to learn their system, and their system is really out of creativity. Like, the one thing they told me is just always, you know, always try to screen down for Steph and Clay. You know what I mean? So always try to screen down for Steph and Clay. So that was, with me, you know, being able to catch the ball in the middle, similar to kind of some of the stuff Draymond does, and being able to make plays out of that middle position and knock down shots. Like I said, it was such an easy transition for me to fit on that team that it didn't take me long to fit in. And obviously, you know, all those guys were cool because, you know, we had, when I was with the Lob City Clipper team, we were battling that young Warrior team, and I knew, like, yo, these young motherfuckers are on the way. We got to get our shit together, Blake and Chris. Like, these young motherfuckers, I know it's going to be their time any day. So just kind of being able to play against them a lot as they're coming up. You know, when I got a chance to join them for the end of me, I already knew what they're about and how they play because I was a fan of them. So it was kind of a seamless transition.
So Lob City, you're cognizant though, like,
oh yeah, they're coming.
You know, like these dudes, they're coming for that ass.
You know, we were the last team to beat that Lob City team. We beat them that Sterling year. I think that was 14.
Yeah.
We beat them in 7 games in LA, but I was just like, it's a matter of time before this team is the best team in the world. And that next year they went out and got their first championship and started their run.
And just quickly on the Sterling situation, obviously my pops played for the Clippers, so I know you could probably sit here and tell us all types of crazy, wild shit, but going into that game, you guys decide to obviously flip the jerseys, you're going to throw the shit on the ground. How hard of a decision was for that all you guys to make? You know, it's tough sometimes to get crews on the same page to do shit.
I just think people had to understand the whole entire situation, which is we felt like that team was we were one of the best teams in the league that year, 50-plus games. We felt like we had a chance to win a championship. So obviously we knew something had to be done, but we just didn't know the magnitude of what would come. Like, if we were to sit out, do we sit out 1 game, or how long do we sit out? Because he's not going anywhere after 1 game. Like, are we gonna have to forfeit the rest of the series? Like, we can't give any. If we forfeit, is it a loss, or are the Warriors gonna forfeit too? Because we can't give these young motherfuckers just any free games. I mean, so we just didn't know the ramifications of our decisions because it was new to everyone. It was really new to basketball. You know, this is the first time. You got to think this is the night before we're supposed to play a game against this young, hungry Warriors team that, you know, Sterling is doing Sterling shit. So it's just like the world is trying to tell us what we need to do, and you're not black if you don't do this, and you guys are sellouts, and you guys are working for the white man. We're hearing all kinds of shit, and this is early social media interaction. Before, you know, social media at this point is just about posting the shit you got. It's nothing political. It's no make a stand. It's none of this. So, you know, we're getting all this outside feedback on what the we're supposed to be doing. So, you know, I was one of the leading voices in that locker room, and to me, like, I was just like, you know, there was a discussion about not playing. It hit some people harder than it hit others. So I'm just like, at the end of the day, man, we got a chance to win a championship. Let's go beat these young motherfuckers. Like, flip our shirts over, take the shit off when we get out there and go play. You know what I mean? But I just, obviously, we probably should have just forfeited that game because they beat the dog shit out of us that game, that very next game. But instead, we were able to, you know, kind of gather ourselves and win in 7. But it was crazy to just the timing of everything. But to me, it wasn't anything new. You know, I just think Sterling was the one dumb enough to get caught speaking like that on record, because there's plenty of owners that probably have that same mentality towards their players. They're just not dumb enough to get recorded, you know, by some trick, you know, that's just trying to get them set up. So it wasn't really a big deal to me. Like I said, some guys took it bigger than other guys took it, but it's the America and the sports we kind of live in.
Did you ever deal with, you know, ownership, anybody, you know, in your time who was like, just, you know, it feels like some shit's going on or some funny style stuff?
No.
You know.
I really didn't pay attention, you know, to be honest. You know, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, when I was with Golden State, I'm in the gym all day. You know what I mean? I remember we got rid of Mookie Baylock, or we didn't even get rid of Mookie Baylock. Mookie Baylock went to golf in the middle of practice. And I never seen him again. Like, so I mean, I've never actually seen Mookie again. So like, I don't know what happened. Like, you know what I mean? I was just so into my own that I really didn't. I just assumed. You know what I mean? You just assume, all right, this is the way shit is. Let me just stay in my lane, focus. You know, I wasn't. You know, I'm not really into politics.
And again, this is before like anyone really is.
Yeah.
Like all this new politics, speak your mind, stand up. Although it was back in the day, like. This was kind of the time that shit started buzzing, because you got to think LeBron came out and spoke on it, and that was kind of the first floodgate where people are really using social media now to talk about stuff other than kind of showing off their lifestyles. Like, okay, you can make a stand here and you can start a movement here. So, you know, you really credit LeBron for really kind of opening that door, because it's never been the same since. You know, now everything is a protest. Now it's this, and that. So but back then, like, I was even talking about this with someone the other day of like business. Like, we weren't talking about business in the locker room, what you're investing in. We were talking about like women, cars, jewelry. That's just what the conversation was.
Your girlfriend, you don't know what you're going to do.
It wasn't no portfolio stuff. It wasn't no investment. There wasn't no Bitcoin. It wasn't starting production companies. Like these guys now are going to really win off the court, because these are the conversations that are being had amongst their teams. It was nothing like that while we played.
Most stuff. So obviously both of you guys have kids now that are following in your footsteps. Hey, how cool is that to see, and how much, you know, like I think about my dad and how he was with me versus how I'm gonna be with my kids. Like, has it changed from how your pops was with you to now how you coaching the twins?
My dad wasn't really, my dad was a drug dealer and drug user. So I mean, I didn't really have an example when it came to like how to do anything when it comes to kids, love, relationships. So to me, it was always me kind of figuring out on our own. You know, the fact that we have kids by sisters, I think it's dope, because, you know, now, you know, my kid's uncle is Gilbert Arenas, and vice versa. You know, there's things we can teach, you know, each of our kids now, because we both had long, successful careers. So it's dope. Like, to me, you know, from everything I had in my past, I try to be like the absolute best father, because I didn't have very much, you know what I mean? So to me, it's just, kids are first. Obviously, anyone who knows me knows that, you know, my kids are my life. So I just think it's dope, and I think it's that fine line, because I decided to coach. He decided, you know, not to coach, and he trains a little bit now. But you know, it's that thin line between being dad and being coach and being friend and being a disciplinary action, you know. So I'm learning, you know, on the fly too. But I just never really wanted to be one of those dads that try to live through my kids because I'd already lived my life to how I felt to be the absolute fullest. So I'm there in support, I'm there to teach, and it's fun watching these kids kind of fall in love with the game and really want it for themselves because, again, with me and him both, our kids aren't going to live the way we lived growing up. They're going to have all the advantages they want, but at the end of the day, like, we can't want it more than them. Like, they have to want it. And I can definitely say on both sides of the fence that our kids want it now, and it's dope because they go to school together, they get to play together all the time, and it's going to be fun because, you know, Elijah's only 1 year older than twins, so they're going to be able to play with each other probably up until college.
And what's so funny is, like, you know, just like athletes, right? You learn from each other. So learning how to be a father, I got to watch. You know what I mean? Like, I watch my dad because, you know, I was raised by my dad, but he's single father, right? So, but he's acting and doing all this stuff. I'm, you know, trying to, you know, I'm damn near raising myself sometimes. Because, you know, when I get home from school and training and all that stuff, he's asleep. You know, when I'm growing up, so we can be in the same house 2 weeks and I ain't seen the man once.
Word, right.
You know what I mean? But he made sure I had, you know, my food, my clothes, and all that stuff. So, like, watching what, you know, so when I go to games, I'm just watching other parents. Like, all right, okay, all right. You just try, oh yeah, they clapped, all right, you know, all right, this motherfucker did a whole, you missed this free throw, like, I don't want that, right? So you just, you know, you're just watching your peers, you know, watching LeBron, watching Chris Paul, you watching, you know, because that's all, like, we're in the same boat. We had the same life. So when it's done, what are you guys doing? All right, okay. So all right, this is how you move it, and you trying to learn. You know what I mean? You're trying to learn. You know, watching someone make a mistake and say, all right, that's okay. Let me go. Okay, that's they like that. Let me go here. You know, so you're just trying to really just get a whole grasp of you know, fatherhood after playing, because when you're playing. Like, I can tell you when I played, I was no father. No. Hoop first, bro. Hoop first. Like, I don't care about your little school, your little preschool, you know, your little drawings you done put on the refrigerator. I don't give a about none of that. I got Kobe coming to town. I got like, these guys are coming to town. I ain't got time to be sitting here, you know, walking down the street. Nah, I'm in the gym getting my 500 shot. Like, so when I had kids, my life didn't stop. Nah, y'all got to fit into this. Yeah. You know, but once I was done, it was like, I don't have this. Now y'all are the basketball now.
Right.
You know what I mean? I gotta fit into you guys' world.
And that's the difference too, I think, you know what I mean, to obviously give Gil his credit, Gil was a different beast. His work ethic, his grind, his attention to detail, like, that was him. And like I said earlier in the interview, I don't want this to come off disrespectful or not appreciate, but I didn't love basketball like that. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciated life in the moment, you know what I mean? So I'm there from the beginning, you know, with the twins being born, getting them in the middle of the night with my ex and burping one while she's feeding one, changing a diaper and putting them back down. So I was there the whole process, you know what I mean? So to me, it was always gonna be, no matter what the else, NBA, what else I had going on, like, fatherhood was and still is my biggest accomplishment, you know what I mean? So to me, the hardest part for me was when I decided to split from my ex-wife and then not having my boys there all the time, because although I was in season, like, we still would go to the park, we'd still go on walks, we'd still do all this shit. So that stuff was difficult for me, and I had to mentally kind of understand that because I still had to play. You know what I mean? Like, my job, I never forgot what my job was, but I'm like, damn, like, I haven't seen my kids in a month. Damn, I haven't seen my kids in 6 weeks. Like, what the you know what I mean? And to keep it real, that's really one of the main reasons why I retired. When I had just signed a 3-year contract with the Kings, I retired that same year with Golden State, because I hadn't seen, you know, up to that, there was one point where I went like a 3-month stretch without seeing my kids. I'm like, I'm 37 years old, just came up on a championship. I have other things going. Like, it might be time to make that transition, because I want more of that now. Like, I want more with my kids. I want to start coaching my kids and being around my kids more. So it was always a special bond with me and the twins, and now, you know, being fortunate enough to have Ashton now too, so I get a chance to start all over. So I've always been a very hands-on dad. So it's dope, but still, everything that Gil said, watching and learn from other people, because like I said, you know, whatever the example you had, like, the examples weren't the typical father shit you see. So, you know, we're always trying to learn on the fly and learn from each other.
So I know obviously your dad's a legend, but do you think the way he's a legend, but he used to pull up the games. It was
Yeah, he did some shit,
when the Barnes family was coming through, it was a level of respect you just had. But this is not a man who's to be trifled with. But real shit. But do you see the way kind of your dad was a parent to you? Did you make a conscious effort that hey, I want to be different with my kids?
I want to be better, but at the same time, like I said, and I don't want to come across as, my dad was there, you know what I mean? And he, as Gil said, he made sure we ate, we had clothes, we got to school, everything. Like, they were functioning within their dysfunction. They were functional. So, my dad and I became close when my mom died in 2007 when I was with that We Believe team. And that's for the first time when he kind of, to me, became a father. First time I can remember hugging him, first time saying I love you, first time seeing him cry, and I'm 27, but my dad was there the whole entire time. There just wasn't that kind of connect. So, now, to me, I was always under the impression that it was never too late to be a father. So although I feel like he kind of missed out on fathering me, my brother, and my sister, but then also finding out the root of that now because we've had conversations and I found out how he was brought. To me, he's an amazing grandfather now. So now he can watch my sister's crazy kids, and we trust them with our kids and being around, and he calls and checks and sends presents, and he and I talk weekly, if not bi-weekly. So at the beginning, I used the way I was brought up as kind of fuel to like, I'm gonna be the best, I'm gonna be opposite of him, I'm gonna do this. But now it's just like dope. I just happened to get my dad 27 years into life, but he's still here, and now he's a great grandfather, and now he's a great grandfather. And now we have a better relationship. So there's never really no grudge or I want to be better. Like, to me, it was just from the jump, that was my motivation. But now he's a dope dad to me and a dope grandfather, and that's all that matters.
That's the craziest thing. That's the key. It's never, like when people say, man, it's too late. It's never too late.
Yeah.
Never too late.
It's never too late. It's
And especially when you have a kind of a grasp, like you gotta understand, like my parents were, like, we had the party house, you know what I mean? So I'm seeing people do, lines of cocaine like this at 3, 4 years old walking around. So I knew at an early age what kind of drugs and, had a handle. And that's what people did in the 80s. People did drugs in the 80s and partied and did whatever they want. So I was in the fast lane in the early 80s, you know what I mean? So to me, kind of having the concept of understanding, like, he's on drugs, it's him, but it's not really him. Once he's able to kind of clean himself up and be sober and really put that effort in you need, he was great at it. You know what I mean? Sure. So to me, I just kind of had a perspective and understanding because I was in the fast lane, once I touched the earth.
Yeah, most definitely. And now, you said that you're coaching your kids. They're top team in their age group, right?
Yeah, we got a really good team.
They're killing, right?
Yeah, we got a really good team. We just transitioned into 13U now. But majority of our team's still 12. But we got a good team. It's fun because it's fun being able to teach these kids, and they're at an age where they still listen, and to see their growth and development about the game is fun. So yeah, we got a good team, and we continue to work. And the thing about the Twins was, again, I was never going to push them, so they just had a high basketball IQ, but they never worked at the game. You know what I mean? And I think I thank Kobe every day, rest in peace. He was the one I feel like kind of lit a fire under him, because Gil can tell you, like, we can tell our kids till they're blue in the face, but we're dads, so. Dad type shit, you know what I mean? But, for me to be, you know it too, right?
Yeah.
Your pops was a legend, you know what I mean? So, but that's dad. But when someone else says it, so getting them to be able to interact with Kobe and Kobe being able to work them out and come to their games, and then obviously his, untimely death, like, he is the one that really lit a fire under the Twins and started them understanding, like, because I remember I took them to work out with them for their 10th birthday. And Kobe, what are they into? I was like, these motherfuckers play video games all day. He's like, all right. So when they get there, where are you guys going to school? Simultaneously, we're going to UCLA. And Kobe's like, no, you're not. These boys are like, we're not? He's like, well, not if you guys don't work at your game. Like, your dad says you guys are good on, you guys play video games, so you guys might be some computer nerds or this, and that, but you're not going to play basketball. And they're still kind of confused, like, we're not? Like, no, you got to work at this shit. And he busted their ass in this workout, and after they were done, they were just like, okay, I like this. And then 3.5 months later, Kobe passes, and it's just like, shit, we're gonna do it for Kobe now. So when I tell you, like, that's when they're like, well, Dad, well, okay, we want to train their dad, and we want to start working out more. And since that point, to see how much they've gotten better, because again, they always had the IQ, but now you add the skill to it. It's just like, oh, this is fun, and it's gonna continue to get fun now because, again, they love it and they want it, not because I want it.
So you talk about Kobe, obviously you got the whole flinching incident and all that good stuff, but that literally motivates him to bring you on the squad.
Right.
Let's talk about going from obviously with the Magic to now on the Lakers and developing that bond and relationship to the point now where you can bring your 10-year-olds for their birthday out to Orange County to get that workout.
You know, because I mean, my Kobe relationship started at UCLA. You know, he was young when he came to LA and he was always on our campus. I'm like, yo, isn't that Kobe? And he'd be walking around our campus working out and stuff, so getting a chance to see him and watch him work out and playing against him in the summer, I was just a fan and kind of had that admiration, knowing just like, yo, this dude is next. You know, I was in 1998, he's, you know, I'm seeing him work out, and I'm just like, yo, this dude is next Jordan type shit. So fast forward, I was a fan, getting a chance to play with him. It was just, again, someone that I knew, okay, I get a chance to play against defense against Kobe. This is great. So there's always real competitive nature with us. And then in the Orlando situation, I mean, anyone that plays Kobe, you know, he's dirty as grabs you, elbows you, says shit, does whatever, but they'll never call a foul on him. Like, known for elbowing you in the sternum, known for just doing all kinds of crazy shit, but it was part of that mental, you know, warfare that he liked to put on you. So I was just to the point now when this motherfucker didn't elbow me in my sternum, hit me in my nuts, elbow me in my chin. Like, I'm gonna fight this dude because these punk ass refs aren't calling nothing. So when the ball fake shit happened, it wasn't like I'm gonna fake the ball in his face. Literally, my arms just did it by themselves. Like, I wanted to slam that shit in his face. So I faked it, and then, you know, it kind of became what it did. But fast forward, so my situation in Orlando doesn't work out because Stan is being funny. So I get a call from Pat Riley like, hey, you know, we got this, we're putting this team together. And I'm like, okay, what kind of team? Because I mean, I'm in Orlando, Miami's right up the freeway. You know, we're in talks with Chris Bosh and LeBron might be coming. And then I was like, really? What? Really? It's like, you know, but it's, you know, this is what it could be. And, you know, our crunch timeline, it could be you, LeBron, D Wade, Bosh, and Mike Miller. And, you know, we're going to win some rings. So I'm thinking, I'm just going to go to Miami. And it's Miami, too. I'm going to go to Miami. And then I get this call from a number I don't know. And I'll never answer my phone, but I just happen to answer it. And it's Cole. I'm just like, yeah, all right. Who's this? He's like, nah, it's Cole, for real. I'm just like, what? I'm like, what's up? So we kind of start talking. And he told me, he's like, anyone crazy enough to f with me is crazy enough to play with me. Do you want to be a Laker? And I mean, I grew up in Cali. I'm a Showtime Magic Johnson dude. I'm like, hell yeah. So like 4 days later, I was a Laker. So we went from kind of just competitors to teammates. And then during that very first season, we were both going through stuff in our personal lives. So we really, really bonded. Like, we were kicking it. I got this motherfucker to go out in Milwaukee of all cities. Like, we were always out and about doing shit and really kicked it and talked about our kids and talked about life and business and family and all this kind of shit. So we really went from competitors to teammates to brothers, to the point where he's always sending the twins their new shoe. He's, you know, Gigi we'd all be playing at all the shit out in Orange County, and Kobe would hit me up the night before, like, yo, I saw you guys in the tournament. What time you play? We play at 9, they play at 11. I'll be there. You know, Kobe would come 2 hours early to watch the twins play. So it was just like that kind of relationship that I built with them off basketball is obviously something I'll never forget, and very grateful, because you hear so many different things about Kobe, but if he lets you in, he's nothing like you hear he is. He's he's an incredible, crazy, shit-talking motherfucker. You know, he's just a cool-ass dude, but he's the Mamba with that mentality to everyone else. But if he lets you in to see the person, the man, the father, he's an incredible dude. So
how much did he help impact, you know, obviously he was coaching Gigi, how much did that help you kind of with coaching your kids? Any advice he kind of gave you on that side?
No, not necessarily, because it was something I always wanted to do. I was actually surprised when I saw him cross over, you know what I mean? Because I used to talk shit about him all the time, like, not shit, but like, you got all girls, I got boys, blah, blah. We would go back and forth when we were having kids, you know what I mean? When he was having his daughters, it's like, damn, another girl, Cove. And I remember he, in bold letters one time, and I think when he had his last daughter, he's like, God has a sick sense of humor, and he had it in capital letters when I think his last daughter was being born. So once he found out that Gigi had a love for it, it was beautiful, because he finally could attach himself to that, and that's when they went to another level, you know, because he was waiting for that opportunity. He was very content with being a girl dad, but obviously he's Kobe, so he wanted to be able to teach basketball to somebody. And, you know, when Gigi was the one, it was dope to see at the beginning where she kind of got into it, and then he even said it on our podcast, like, yo, she's the one that got me watching games again. She got me ordering the NBA package, like it was Gigi. So to be able to see that and just kind of see his whole transformation, I was the one that was actually surprised, because I already knew I was going to do it. I just never thought that I would see Kobe sitting on the bench, coaching girls. And when I tell you, like, the one thing he told me is like, yo, these girls practice like 5 or 6 days a week, running the triangles. Dizzy's just like, you know, we're not the most talented team, so we have to have some kind of structure. So those girls are out there practicing 5, 6 days a week, like running the triangle to perfection. So kind of got just kind of the beat in the process I can put on my kids. Obviously I can't do it that much because our team won't get together that much, but just to see his attention to detail and his crossover to being, his daughter's coach, I thought was dope.
Just want to hit both y'all on, obviously, recent news, Ben Simmons deciding to hold out. He's got 4 years left on his deal. When you guys see this happen, how do you think this plays out for him and the Sixers?
I want to hear you. I always like Gilbert's take. I want to hear your take first.
There was never no coming back, and this is a sad thing what owners and management does, right? They don't really understand. They don't understand how the world actually works, right? So you have a product, you don't want the product anymore, right? So what you try to do is you try to damage the products to the world. So, Ben Simmons can't shoot, he don't work out. You say everything that you need to say to get rid of him. But then you wonder why the buyer, the next team, don't want him.
But then you want a king's ransom for that person you just shit on.
Yeah, so you got a Lamborghini, right? And then you say how bad everything is wrong with this Lamborghini, but then you want the Lamborghini price. Like, if you really wanted to get rid of him, you'd have did the opposite. You'd have said, oh man, he has a great work ethic, he's this, that, but we're looking for more of a conventional guard, so we gotta let him go even though we don't want him to let him go. Right, that right there sells him. But the fact that you told everybody he don't want to work, he don't do this, he don't do that, now nobody wants to give you full ticket for him. They're gonna give you pennies on a dollar, and you don't want to take pennies on a dollar because you know what he really is, right? You know he's a superstar. Like, so the fact that you're trying to get back superstar quality, but you just told everybody he's damaged goods, it's up, any trade. Because now, if you do want to get rid of him, you have to get rid of a bottom line bullshit. So what ends up happening is now both sides are at this path, right? I'm pretty sure he's going to go to a team where there's going to already be other superstars. He's not going to go to a team like not like Minnesota or some shit like that. He's going to end up landing into a big market because the big market is going to give you just enough where you're like, all right, fine. It's just weird. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he landed in Phoenix or some shit like that because they're going to give you a couple draft picks and somebody they really don't need, and you're going to off Ben Simmons, and that changes their whole franchise.
I mean, I think, too, where Gil was saying at the beginning, like, they were at a point of no return, and I saw it from a standpoint of chemistry, and I know how players' egos work, and when you see, and even though they weren't shitting on him, what Doc Rivers said, I don't know if he's a championship caliber point guard for our team, and then what Embiid said, and although he wasn't shitting on him, it was just stuff. So to me, these younger players have a different mindset, and then they take things differently. So I knew they were at a point of no return once the people in the locker room, the coach and the other best players said that shit. I knew after that there was no chance, and I remember I was talking this on ESPN, I was like, there's no chance he's going to go back because of what those two particularly said about him. Now, you can say all the other shit about him, but when your dogs, like when the other counterpart, when your other star and your head coach have questioned you and questioned your abilities, that's when I knew shit was going to happen. So, I mean, at this point, I mean, it's going to be who's going to budge first, which is crazy because I heard he's losing like $300,000 per something. So I don't know if that's per day or per week, but it's going to get ugly, and hopefully they can then get him out and just let him have a fresh start because that bridge is burned. It'll never be rebuilt.
You know the bad part about it is they don't want to blame themselves for what he became, right? You're talking about a guy who's 6'11", can get to the basket anytime he wants. He's the point guard that's coming downhill, long, can jump. So really he's unguardable if his mentality was, I'm just going to go out and score 40. So when you're doing post-up plays where he's passing into Embiid and his man is sagging to, like, my thing was with Doc, what plays are you running when he's in? Like, what play? You think that he's at the top of the key and you're going to do a pin down for a shooter? Where do you think his man is going to be sitting? Right, he's going to stop all that curl shit. He's going to stop all that post-up. So the fact that you're not smart enough to say, hey, Ben Simmons, just drive. Just go score. 1-4 flat. 1-4 flat until they actually play deep. The fact that you're not actually using him, like the fact that you're not Greek the freaking this dude, tells me another story too. Like I'm looking at things like he has the ball at the top of the key, and dude is sitting at the free throw line, and you're still trying to draw a regular play. It just 1-4 flat, go. Who the f is gonna stop you at that point? Yeah. So like my thing is, he took 5 shots. That's coaching too. That's coaching too. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're not getting him involved he's at the point where it's more mental than anything.
That's his whole thing.
It's mental. This guy doesn't want to take a shot because he doesn't want to miss. He doesn't want this happen. He don't want nobody in front. That's what that also. You're not even really sure.
Too. So I mean, the mental part's on him and on the way he was brought up to me. Because we all know, I think he's a special talent. I hope he's able to just go and get a fresh start because that's what you need sometimes. But to think that Ben Simmons can't play, you're crazy. One of the best players in the NBA.
My thing was like, listen. Like, I understand you want to be Magic Johnson, but I need you to be Magic Johnson, not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, okay? Go out there and score 40. Just give me 40. Like, play the game like you're trying to score 40. That's all it is. Play the game aggressive. Like, he doesn't play aggressive because he has Embiid, he has this guy. Like, so he's trying to look like really try to get everybody involved. It's like, the only way they get involved is if you're in attack mode. Like, Russell Westbrook it. Like, so the fact that you're 6'11" coming in the lane, they have to all come in now. Easy shot right here, easy dump down there, easy basket. Like so I don't need you to be traditional points. Forget the 10 assists, because you're only gonna get 7 that way. Go for 40 points, you're gonna get 10 assists. Because everybody's gonna be sitting here trying to stop you from driving in the lane, and you're over on the free throw line, you have to, now those easy passes, but because the game is not being taught to him like that and they're not coaching him like that, you got a guy who's one of the most talented players on the court who's being handicapped by just the game itself.
Well, we'll leave it at that, but Matt, we appreciate you for coming on. It's been another episode of No Chill with Gilbert Arenas. We'll be back very soon with more.